Chapter 1. Stop reacting. Start ruling yourself. Most people believe their reactions are automatic. They believe anger just happens. They believe frustration just appears. They believe stress is unavoidable. That belief is the first lie. You are not reacting because you have no choice. You are reacting because you never trained yourself not to. You have a choice. Always. Every reaction is a decision you made too fast to notice. Someone disrespects you. You snap back. Someone ignores you. You spiral. Someone criticizes you. You defend yourself immediately. That is not strength. That is reflex. And reflex is predictable. Predictable people are easy to control. That's the key. The world doesn't overpower you. Your reactions give it permission. You don't lose control because situations are intense. You lose control because you never practiced restraint. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. Emotion is neutral. Reaction is a habit. And habits can be broken. Right now, your nervous system is trained to respond instantly. No pause. No filter. No authority. This is why people feel out of control. They outsource control to impulse. You have a choice. Pause or surrender. Detachment begins here. Not with ignoring life, but with delaying reaction. Delay is dominance. When you pause, you reclaim power. When you pause, you interrupt the pattern. When you pause, you step above the situation instead of drowning in it. You don't need their permission to pause. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to justify restraint. Silence is not weakness. Silence is command. Watch powerful people carefully. They don't rush to respond. They don't rush to defend. They don't rush to explain. They observe first. They let others reveal themselves. That's the key. Reactive people speak to release emotion. Disciplined people speak to achieve outcomes. It's not about being calm. It's about being intentional. Here is where most people fail. They think control means suppressing emotion. It doesn't. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure explodes later. Control means acknowledging emotion without obeying it. You feel anger. You don't act on it. You feel insulted. You don't chase validation. You feel anxious. You don't spiral. You observe it. You name it. You let it pass. That is ruling yourself. This is why detachment is power. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you choose. You have a choice. Right now, think about the last time you reacted emotionally. The last argument. The last message you shouldn't have sent. The last time you tried to prove something. Ask yourself one question. Did that reaction improve your position or weaken it? Be honest. Most reactions cost you leverage. They expose insecurity. They signal neediness. They reveal wounds. You don't need to reveal anything. That's the key. When you stop reacting, people feel it. They don't always understand it, but they feel it. Your calm unsettles them. Your silence forces them to fill the gap. Your restraint shifts the balance. This is not manipulation. This is self-mastery. You're not controlling others. You're removing their control over you. It's not about winning arguments. It's about not needing to argue. It's not about proving strength. It's about embodying it. From this point forward, you must train one discipline. Pause before response. Every time. Not forever. Just long enough to regain authority. Count to 3. Take one breath. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. That physical pause rewires your nervous system. That's the key. Your body leads your mind. If your body is tense, your mind panics. If your body is calm, your mind sharpens. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need approval to stay silent. You don't need validation to remain composed. You have a choice. And every time you choose restraint, you build detachment. Every time you choose silence, you reclaim power. Every time you refuse to react, you train dominance. This is not about becoming cold. This is about becoming unshakable. Cold people avoid emotion. Disciplined people manage it. Big difference. Life will test this immediately. Someone will provoke you. Something will frustrate you. Someone will try to pull you back into reaction. That's not a failure. That's training. Detachment is built under pressure. Remember this phrase. Burn it into your mind. Nothing outside me controls me. Say it again. Nothing outside me controls me. That's the key. When you stop reacting, you stop leaking energy. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding chaos. When you stop reacting, you begin ruling yourself. This chapter is your foundation. Without it, nothing else works. Because detachment doesn't start with letting go of people. It starts with letting go of impulse. You mastered your reactions. Now, you're ready for the next truth. Because reaction isn't the only thing draining you. Next, we expose the hidden weakness most people mistake for virtue. Chapter 2. The silent cost of caring too much. Caring too much feels like strength. It feels mature. It feels moral. But most of the time, it's not strength. It's attachment. And attachment is expensive. People don't collapse because they don't care. They collapse because they care about the wrong things. Too much. For too long. You have a choice. Care consciously, or suffer unconsciously. That's the key. Caring is not the problem. Overcaring is. Overcaring clouds judgment. Overcaring drains energy. Overcaring turns small problems into emotional emergencies. Think about where your stress comes from. Other people's opinions. Other people's moods. Other people's expectations. You're carrying weight that isn't yours. And you call it responsibility. You call it kindness. You call it loyalty. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of being disliked. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of being seen as selfish. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. That's the key. Most people are not exhausted from work. They're exhausted from emotional labor they were never asked to do. They replay conversations. They over-explain. They over-justify. They over-apologize. All because they care too much about how they are perceived. It's not about being compassionate. It's about being controlled. When someone's reaction determines your emotional state, you are no longer free. That's attachment. And attachment makes you negotiable. You show up differently when you care too much. You soften your truth. You hesitate. You tolerate disrespect. Not because you agree, but because you don't want conflict. That's the trade. And it's a bad one. Peace traded for approval. Clarity traded for comfort. Self-respect traded for belonging. You have a choice. Care less or bleed slowly. That doesn't mean become heartless. It means become precise. Precision is the difference between power and chaos. Here's the truth most people avoid. The more emotionally invested you are, the less leverage you have. In conversations, in relationships, in life. When you care too much, you rush to fix things. You rush to explain. You rush to smooth tension. And in doing so, you teach others something dangerous. That you will bend first. That's the key. Detachment doesn't remove care. It removes desperation. You can care about someone without needing their approval. You can care about a situation without losing sleep over it. You can care without collapsing emotionally. But you must decide where your energy goes. Energy is currency. Spend it wisely. Right now, ask yourself this question. Who am I emotionally working for? The people who don't reciprocate. The situations I can't control. The outcomes that haven't happened yet. That's where your exhaustion lives. It's not about empathy. It's about boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They decide what gets access to you. And if you don't set them, life will drain you without permission. You don't need their permission to care less. That's the key. This is where most people get uncomfortable. They fear that caring less makes them cold. It doesn't. It makes them clear. Clear about what matters. Clear about what doesn't. Clear about what deserves attention and what doesn't. Detachment teaches you selective investment. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone deserves access. Not every problem deserves your energy. That's discipline. It's not about ignoring people. It's about prioritizing yourself. People who overcare are easy to manipulate. They respond to guilt. They respond to pressure. They respond to emotional bait. Detached people don't. They pause. They assess. They decide. That's the key. From this point forward, you must practice one rule. If it costs you peace, it costs too much. Repeat that. If it costs you peace, it costs too much. That means fewer explanations, fewer apologies, fewer emotional debates. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to rescue everyone. You don't need to carry what isn't yours. You have a choice. And every time you choose to disengage emotionally, you grow stronger. This will feel uncomfortable at first, because your identity may be tied to being the caring one, the fixer, the reliable one. But that role is draining you. Detachment is not abandonment. It's self-preservation. And self-preservation is not selfish. It's necessary. When you stop caring excessively, something powerful happens. Your mind clears. Your reactions slow. Your confidence stabilizes. You stop being pulled in every direction. That's the key. Care becomes intentional. Energy becomes focused. Life becomes quieter. And quiet is where control lives. This chapter taught you what to release. But there's one attachment deeper than caring about people. An attachment that fuels anxiety more than anything else. Because even when you care less about others, you might still be obsessed with results. And that obsession keeps you trapped. You've loosened your grip on people. Now it's time to loosen your grip on outcomes. Chapter 3. Detach from outcomes or stay anxious forever. Anxiety is not a mystery. It has a source. A single source. Attachment to outcomes. You are anxious because you are trying to control results that are not yours to control. That's the truth. You don't feel pressure because life is hard. You feel pressure because you're gripping the future with clenched fists. You have a choice. Focus on effort or suffer over outcomes. That's the key. Most people wake up anxious before anything even happens. They imagine failure. They imagine rejection. They imagine things going wrong. Why? Because their happiness is tied to a result that hasn't arrived yet. That is emotional slavery. Outcomes live in the future. Your power lives in the present. And every time you obsess over results, you abandon the only place where control exists. It's not about ambition. It's about discipline. Ambition without detachment creates panic. Ambition with detachment creates consistency. Look at how most people quit. They don't quit because effort is hard. They quit because results are slow. They train for a week and expect transformation. They work for a month and expect validation. They show up briefly and demand certainty. That impatience creates anxiety. That anxiety destroys momentum. That's the key. Detached people work differently. They don't negotiate with results. They don't emotionally monitor progress. They don't collapse when outcomes delay. They show up. They execute. They repeat. And they let results catch up. It's not about winning today. It's about showing up tomorrow. Outcome-obsessed people ask, is this working? Process-focused people ask, did I do the work? One question builds anxiety. The other builds power. You have a choice. Detach from outcomes, or stay nervous forever. This doesn't mean you stop caring about success. It means you stop emotionally depending on it. Big difference. When your self-worth rises and falls with results, you live unstable. When your self-worth is anchored to discipline, you become steady. That's the key. Here's a rule you must internalize. You control effort. You do not control reward. Say it again. You control effort. You do not control reward. Life does not owe you immediate returns. It responds to consistency. Most people don't fail. They abandon the process too early because anxiety convinces them something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. You're just early. But anxiety lies. It demands reassurance. It demands signs. Detached people don't ask for signs. They trust the system. They trust repetition. They trust time. That's discipline. Think about how you work when you're obsessed with outcomes. You rush. You overthink. You second guess. Your energy becomes unstable. Now think about how you work when outcomes don't control your mood. You move slower, cleaner, more focused. That's where mastery lives. It's not about speed. It's about sustainability. You don't need permission to let go of outcomes. That's the key. Letting go does not mean quitting. It means releasing emotional dependence. You still show up. You still work. You still aim high. You just don't let results decide your worth. From this moment forward, adopt this rule. Judge yourself only on effort. Did you show up today? Did you do the work? Did you follow the process? If yes, then you win the day. That's it. No emotional math. No future projections. No self-punishment. This is how calm people outperform anxious ones. Calm people last longer. Anxious people burn out. That's the key. You will feel withdrawal when you stop outcome watching. Your mind will try to pull you back into future fear. That's normal. Discipline feels boring at first. Because drama is addictive. But boring builds empires. Drama destroys them. Repeat this phrase. I don't chase results. I build systems. Say it again. I don't chase results. I build systems. Systems remove emotion from progress. You show up whether you feel motivated or not. You work whether results are visible or not. You stay steady whether praised or ignored. That is detachment. And detachment creates unstoppable momentum. This chapter freed you from anxiety about results. But there's another attachment even deeper. The need. The need for reassurance. The need for validation. The need for something outside you to feel complete. As long as you need, you can be controlled. You let go of outcomes. Now it's time to let go of need itself. Chapter 4. When you need nothing, you become unstoppable. Need is invisible. But everyone can feel it. The moment you need approval, you lose leverage. The moment you need reassurance, you weaken your position. The moment you need someone else to validate you, you hand them power. You have a choice. Need or independence. That's the key. Most people don't realize how much they need. They need texts returned. They need recognition. They need reassurance that they're doing okay. And that need shapes their behavior. They soften their voice. They hesitate. They over-explain. They tolerate disrespect. Not because they agree, but because they don't want to lose connection. That's not connection. That's dependency. It's not about desire. It's about discipline. Desire is natural. Need is a liability. The difference between confidence and insecurity is not arrogance. It's self-sufficiency. Confident people enjoy validation, but they don't depend on it. Insecure people crave validation and collapse without it. That's the key. Look closely at how you act when you need something. You rush conversations. You check responses. You interpret silence as rejection. Your mind becomes noisy. Your posture shrinks. Your decisions weaken. Need creates urgency. Urgency creates mistakes. Detached people don't rush. They don't chase. They don't beg emotionally, because they are already complete. You don't need their permission to stand firm. You don't need approval to stay calm. You don't need reassurance to continue forward. You have a choice. When you need nothing, something powerful happens. Your words slow down. Your energy stabilizes. Your presence deepens. People feel it immediately, not because you demand respect, but because you don't require anything from them. That's power. Needing nothing does not mean rejecting people. It means not leaning on them emotionally. Big difference. This is where most people get confused. They think independence means isolation. It doesn't. It means emotional self-reliance. You can enjoy people without depending on them. You can love without clinging. You can connect without collapsing. That's the key. Ask yourself this honestly. If this person disappeared tomorrow, would I still be stable? If the answer is no, that's not love. That's need. And need will always create fear. Fear of loss. Fear of silence. Fear of disapproval. Detachment removes fear by removing dependency. You don't need their permission to feel whole. Say it again. You don't need their permission. From this moment forward, you must practice one discipline. Stop chasing emotional confirmation. No more fishing for reassurance. No more hinting for validation. No more checking for emotional signals. If something matters, act. If someone matters, respect, but don't cling. That's discipline. When you stop needing, your behavior changes. You listen more. You speak less. You walk away easier. Not because you don't care, but because you respect yourself. That's the key. Need makes people tolerate less than they deserve. Detachment raises standards automatically. You don't argue for respect when you don't need approval. You don't negotiate boundaries when you're self-contained. You simply move accordingly. Life rewards that. Opportunities chase people who don't chase validation. Respect follows those who don't beg for it. This is not manipulation. This is alignment. Your internal state dictates your external results. Needing nothing makes you calm. Calm makes you clear. Clear makes you effective. You have a choice. Detach from need, or stay dependent. This discipline will feel uncomfortable at first. Because need is familiar. It feels like connection. But once you release it, something strange happens. You feel lighter, quieter, stronger. Your identity shifts. You stop asking, do they like me? You start asking, do I respect myself? That's the key. This chapter taught you how to remove internal weakness. But there's still one trap left. Even when you don't need approval, even when you don't chase validation, you may still care deeply about how others see you. That attachment keeps you exposed. You've removed need. Now it's time to remove reputation anxiety. Chapter 5. Let people think whatever they want. Most people are imprisoned by something they cannot control. Other people's thoughts. They adjust their behavior. They censor their truth. They dilute their decisions. All because they want to be seen a certain way. You have a choice. Control yourself, or try to control opinions and lose. That's the key. You cannot manage perception. You can only manage behavior. And the more you try to control how others see you, the less authentic and powerful you become. People will misunderstand you. They will misjudge you. They will project their fears onto you. That is not a failure. That is reality. The mistake is resisting it. Most people waste years trying to correct narratives, explaining themselves, defending motives, clarifying intentions. All of it drains energy. None of it guarantees understanding. It's not about clarity. It's about control. When someone's opinion dictates your emotional state, you are no longer free. That's attachment. Detached people accept a hard truth. You will be misunderstood, and you will survive. That's the key. Think about the strongest people you know. They are not universally liked. They are not constantly explaining themselves. They move. They decide. They let reactions happen. They understand something most don't. Perception follows consistency, not explanation. You don't need their permission to be misunderstood. You don't need approval to stay aligned with your values. You don't need validation to remain steady. You have a choice. Let people think whatever they want, or live on defense forever. Here's what chasing reputation does. It keeps you reactive. It keeps you anxious. It keeps you hesitant. You start asking the wrong questions. How will this look? What will they say? What if they think badly of me? Those questions weaken decision-making. Detached people ask better questions. Is this right for me? Is this aligned with my discipline? Does this move me forward? That's the key. Reputation is not built by explaining yourself. It's built by repeating aligned behavior. And even then, some will still dislike you. Accept it. This is where most people resist detachment. They want control without discomfort. They want freedom without judgment. That doesn't exist. Freedom requires tolerance for misunderstanding. Say this clearly. I'm allowed to be misunderstood. Say it again. I'm allowed to be misunderstood. When you internalize this, something powerful happens. You stop correcting every comment. You stop defending every choice. You stop chasing approval. You conserve energy. That energy returns as focus. Focus returns as confidence. Confidence returns as calm. That's discipline. It's not about arrogance. It's about emotional independence. People who constantly explain themselves are negotiating for acceptance. People who stay silent are grounded in self-respect. Silence doesn't mean secrecy. It means selectivity. Not everyone deserves access to your reasoning. That's the key. From this moment forward, apply this rule. If someone misunderstands you, and it changes nothing materially, let it be. No correction. No explanation. No defense. Observe how freeing that feels. You will notice discomfort at first. Your ego will want to jump in. Your identity will feel threatened. Let it pass. Detachment is allowing discomfort without reacting to it. You don't need their permission to stay quiet. Over time, something shifts. People either adjust their perception or fade away. Both outcomes are acceptable. Detached people don't manage impressions. They manage direction. Direction matters. Impressions don't. That's the key. This chapter trained you to release opinion-based attachment. But there's a deeper misunderstanding still. Many people believe detachment makes them cold. They fear losing emotion altogether. That fear keeps them stuck. You've let go of reputation anxiety. Now it's time to correct the biggest myth of all. Chapter 6. Detachment is not coldness. It is precision. Most people misunderstand detachment. They think detachment means shutting down. They think it means becoming cold, distant, or emotionless. They think it means not caring. That misunderstanding keeps them weak. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is the control of it. That's the key. Cold people avoid feeling. Detached people manage feeling. There is a difference, and it matters. Emotion without discipline is chaos. Emotion with discipline is clarity. You don't detach to escape life. You detach to see it clearly. You have a choice. Be emotionally flooded or emotionally precise. Precision means knowing when to engage and when to withdraw. Precision means feeling deeply without acting impulsively. Precision means responding intentionally instead of reacting automatically. That's power. Look at people who lose control emotionally. They speak too fast. They explain too much. They regret later. That is not honesty. That is leakage. Detached people don't leak. They feel anger, but they don't explode. They feel sadness, but they don't collapse. They feel joy, but they don't become reckless. They regulate. That's the key. This is where discipline replaces drama. Drama thrives on emotional extremes. Precision thrives on balance. Life doesn't reward emotional excess. It rewards emotional accuracy. Accuracy means the right emotion at the right intensity at the right time. Most people feel everything at full volume. Detached people adjust the volume. You don't need their permission to regulate yourself. You don't need approval to stay composed. You don't need validation to remain centered. You have a choice. Here's the rule you must internalize. Feel, but don't follow. Say it again. Feel, but don't follow. Emotions are signals, not commands. Anger signals a boundary. Fear signals uncertainty. Sadness signals loss. Signals are meant to be read, not obeyed blindly. When you obey emotion without analysis, you lose authority. When you analyze emotion before action, you gain control. That's the key. Detachment sharpens decision-making. Instead of asking, "How do I feel?" you ask, "What's the smartest move right now?" That question changes everything. Leaders use it. Athletes use it. Disciplined individuals live by it. Emotion informs. Discipline decides. It's not about suppressing pain. It's about postponing reaction. Reaction can wait. Action must be clean. You'll notice something when you practice this. Your presence becomes heavier. Your words carry more weight. Your silence becomes noticeable. People feel your restraint. Because restraint signals strength. Weak people must express everything. Strong people choose. That's the key. Precision also means selective compassion. You don't pour emotion into people who don't respect it. You don't overextend for situations that don't improve. You don't emotionally invest without return. This is not cruelty. This is intelligence. Giving emotion everywhere cheapens it. Reserving it increases its value. You have a choice. Be emotionally available to everything, or emotionally effective where it matters. Detached people don't burn out because they don't overextend. They don't confuse urgency with importance. They don't confuse intensity with meaning. They move calmly, even in chaos. That calm is not accidental. It's trained. Precision requires practice. From this moment forward, apply this discipline. When emotion rises, do nothing immediately. No text, no speech, no decision. Just observe. Name the emotion. Sit with it. Let it peak and fall. Then act, if needed. That pause is where detachment lives. That's the key. You'll feel uncomfortable at first. Your identity may be built on emotional expression. You may fear being misunderstood. Let it happen. Detached people tolerate internal discomfort to avoid external damage. This chapter corrected the myth. Detachment is not coldness. It is emotional marksmanship. You choose when to fire and when to hold. But even with precision, there is one discipline left to master. Knowing when to exit. Because staying too long, emotionally or physically, destroys leverage. You've learned how to control emotion. Now you must learn when to walk away. Chapter 7. Master the art of walking away. Most people stay too long. Too long in conversations that drain them. Too long in relationships that weaken them. Too long in situations that no longer respect them. They don't stay because it's right. They stay because they're afraid. Afraid of loss. Afraid of change. Afraid of what walking away might say about them. You have a choice. Walk away with strength, or stay and shrink. That's the key. Walking away is not quitting. Walking away is choosing yourself. Weak people see walking away as failure. Disciplined people see it as clarity. Because staying is not always loyalty. Sometimes, staying is self-betrayal. Look closely at where you feel drained. That heaviness is information. Your body knows before your mind admits it. You feel tense. You feel irritated. You feel smaller. That's your signal. Detached people listen to signals. Attached people ignore them. That's the difference. Most people wait for a breaking point. They wait for disrespect to become obvious. They wait for damage to become unbearable. That delay costs them years. You don't need their permission to leave. That's the key. Walking away early preserves dignity. Walking away late creates resentment. Resentment poisons everything. You start keeping score. You start justifying behavior you don't respect. You start losing clarity. Detachment eliminates resentment by removing tolerance for misalignment. It's not about being dramatic. It's about being decisive. Here's a rule you must internalize. If something consistently costs you peace, it costs too much. Say it again. If something consistently costs you peace, it costs too much. This applies to people, jobs, habits, environments. Peace is not weakness. Peace is alignment. Detached people don't threaten to leave. They don't argue endlessly. They don't negotiate their self-respect. They exit quietly. That silence is powerful. Because walking away without explanation forces others to reflect. Not always, but often. And even if they don't, it doesn't matter. You didn't walk away to teach them. You walked away to save yourself. That's the key. Here's where many people fail. They announce their departure emotionally. They seek closure. They want acknowledgement. That's attachment speaking. Closure is internal, not negotiated. You don't need their understanding to move on. You don't need validation to leave. You don't need permission to choose peace. You have a choice. Every time you walk away from what disrespects you, you strengthen self-trust. Self-trust compounds. The more you trust yourself, the less you tolerate nonsense. The less you tolerate nonsense, the calmer your life becomes. That's discipline. Walking away also applies internally. From negative thought loops. From old identities. From habits that no longer serve you. You don't debate with them. You disengage. Detached people don't argue with what drains them. They withdraw attention. Attention is fuel. Remove fuel, and fire dies. That's the key. From this moment forward, apply this rule. No more chasing explanations. No more staying to prove a point. No more waiting for people to change. If alignment disappears, so do you. This doesn't make you cruel. It makes you clear. Clear people are dangerous, in the best way. They don't cling. They don't beg. They don't stay stuck. They move. And movement creates momentum. You've learned how to let go of reaction. You've learned how to reduce care. You've learned how to detach from outcomes, need, and reputation. Walking away is where it all becomes visible. It's action. But detachment isn't just about leaving external situations. It's also about daily discipline. Because if you don't train detachment regularly, emotion will reclaim control. You know how to exit. Now you must learn how to maintain control daily. Chapter 8. Emotional control is a daily discipline. Emotional control is not a breakthrough. It's not a realization. It's not a moment. It's a routine. People lose control not because they don't understand detachment, but because they stop practicing it. You have a choice. Train daily, or relapse emotionally. That's the key. Detachment is a muscle, and untrained muscles fail under pressure. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your discipline. Most people treat emotional control like motivation, something they hope shows up when needed. It won't. Control is built when nothing is happening, so it's there when everything is. That's discipline. Here's the truth. If your mornings are chaotic, your emotions will be too. If your inputs are noisy, your mind will be noisy. If your habits are sloppy, your reactions will follow. It's not about willpower. It's about structure. Detached people structure their days to reduce emotional volatility. They don't rely on mood. They rely on systems. That's the key. Your first discipline is silence. Not external silence, internal silence. No phone first thing. No messages. No emotional input before clarity. Why? Because whatever you consume first sets your emotional tone. If you begin reactive, you stay reactive. You don't need their permission to protect your mornings. That's the key. Second discipline. Physical regulation. Your body and emotions are not separate. A tense body creates a reactive mind. A calm body creates a calm mind. Detached people move daily, not for aesthetics, for regulation. Breathing slows emotion. Movement discharges stress. Stillness restores clarity. You don't meditate to escape life. You do it to face life cleanly. That's discipline. Third discipline. Controlled exposure. Avoidance makes emotion stronger. Exposure makes it manageable. Detached people don't avoid stress. They face it intentionally. Cold showers. Difficult conversations. Delayed gratification. Small discomforts build emotional immunity. That's the key. Fourth discipline. Response training. Throughout the day, watch your impulses. The urge to interrupt. The urge to explain. The urge to react. Pause. Every pause rewires you. Even 3 seconds matters. Delay is dominance. Say it again. Delay is dominance. This is how detachment becomes automatic. Fifth discipline. Intentional reduction. Cut emotional noise. Less news. Less drama. Less unnecessary conversation. Not because you're above it, but because you value clarity. Emotion follows attention. Control attention. Control emotion. That's the key. Most people are emotionally exhausted because they're overstimulated. Detached people protect their bandwidth. They don't engage in everything. They don't react to everything. They don't comment on everything. Selective engagement is power. You have a choice. Be available to everything, or effective at what matters. End your day with review, not judgment. Review. Where did I react? Where did I pause? Where did I leak energy? Awareness precedes control. This is not self-criticism. This is calibration. Detached people refine daily. They don't aim for perfection. They aim for progress. That's discipline. Emotional control doesn't remove feeling. It removes chaos. And chaos is what keeps most people stuck. You don't need permission to be disciplined. You don't need motivation to be consistent. You don't need approval to be calm. You have a choice. Practice detachment daily, or lose it under pressure. This chapter gave you the routine. But there's one final advantage detachment gives you. In high pressure, in competition, in chaos, calm wins. And calm is rare. You've built discipline. Now you'll see why it separates you from everyone else. Chapter 9. Calm is a competitive advantage. In a chaotic world, calm is rare. And rare things are valuable. Most people panic under pressure. They rush. They react. They make emotional decisions and call them instincts. That's not instinct. That's lack of control. You have a choice. Stay calm or get outplayed. That's the key. Calm is not personality. Calm is training. Anyone can be calm when life is easy. Very few can remain calm when stakes are high. Those few win. Because panic blinds. Calm sees. In negotiations. In conflict. In competition. The calm person notices details others miss. Tone shifts. Timing gaps. Emotional tells. While others react, calm people calculate. That's dominance. Pressure reveals the truth. When things go wrong, most people speed up emotionally. They talk more. They explain more. They justify more. And in doing so, they give away leverage. Detached people slow down. Silence increases gravity. Pauses increase authority. Stillness unsettles opponents. That's the key. Calm people don't chase control. They create it. They don't interrupt chaos. They let chaos expose itself. Think about arguments. The loudest person is rarely the strongest. The calmest person usually is. Why? Because calm communicates certainty. You don't need to raise your voice when you're grounded. You don't need to rush when you're confident. You don't need to prove anything when you're secure. You have a choice. React emotionally or respond strategically. Calm is strategic. In business, calm outperforms aggression. In leadership, calm builds trust. In relationships, calm sets boundaries without force. Emotion escalates situations. Calm resolves them or ends them cleanly. That's discipline. Here's what most people don't realize. Calm is contagious. One grounded person in a room changes the dynamic. One emotionally stable presence shifts the energy. That's influence. But calm is uncomfortable for unstable people. It exposes them. So they'll try to provoke you, rush you, pull you into reaction. That's a test. You don't need their permission to stay calm. That's the key. Every time you remain calm under pressure, you gain psychological advantage. Others begin adjusting to you. They slow down. They second guess. You control the tempo. Tempo control is power. This applies everywhere. Deadlines, disagreements, high-risk decisions. Detached people don't panic when things go wrong. They ask one question. What's the smartest next move? Not emotional relief. Not immediate comfort. The smartest move. That question keeps you above the situation. That's the key. Most people confuse calm with passivity. It's the opposite. Calm allows decisive action. Panicked action is sloppy. Calm action is precise. One creates regret. The other creates results. You don't need adrenaline to perform. You need clarity. Clarity comes from detachment. From this moment forward, adopt this rule. When pressure rises, slow down. Slow speech. Slow movement. Slow breathing. Your body leads your mind. A calm body creates a calm decision. That's discipline. You will notice something powerful when you do this. Others rush to fill silence. They reveal intentions. They show weakness. You gain information. Information is leverage. That's the key. Calm doesn't mean you care less. It means you see more. You're not emotionally invested in chaos. You're strategically positioned above it. That's mastery. This chapter showed you why detachment wins in the real world. But there is one final truth. Detachment is not optional. Life will pull you. People will provoke you. Outcomes will tempt you. If you don't detach consciously, you will be dragged unconsciously. You've learned the tools. You've trained the discipline. Now comes the final decision. Because detachment is not something you try. It's something you choose. Chapter 10. Detach or be dragged by life. Life will pull you. It will pull your attention. It will pull your emotions. It will pull your energy in 1,000 directions. And if you don't detach consciously, you will be dragged unconsciously. That's the truth. Most people don't choose their lives. They react their way into them. They wake up responding. They move through the day reacting. They fall asleep exhausted, without knowing why. You have a choice. Detach or be dragged. That's the key. Detachment is not a technique. It's a stance. It's a decision you make every day, in every moment, when life demands a reaction. Someone provokes you. You pause. Something disappoints you. You adjust, not collapse. An outcome doesn't arrive. You continue, without bitterness. That is detachment in action. Life does not become easier when you detach. You become stronger. Big difference. Most people wait for life to calm down before they calm down. That day never comes. There will always be pressure. There will always be noise. There will always be uncertainty. Detached people don't wait for peace. They carry it. That's the key. Look back at everything you've learned. You stopped reacting. You stopped caring excessively. You released outcomes. You removed need. You let go of reputation anxiety. You mastered emotional precision. You learned to walk away. You built daily discipline. You discovered the power of calm. None of this was accidental. It was training. Training to become unmovable in a moving world. Detachment doesn't make you passive. It makes you deliberate. Deliberate with your energy. Deliberate with your time. Deliberate with your emotions. And deliberateness is freedom. Here is the final truth. Whatever you are attached to controls you. Attached to approval, you'll chase it. Attached to outcomes, you'll panic. Attached to people, you'll tolerate disrespect. Attached to comfort, you'll avoid growth. Attachment is invisible chains. Detachment breaks them. That's the key. This doesn't mean you reject life. You still love. You still work. You still aim high. You just don't cling. Clinging is fear. Detachment is trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your discipline. Trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. You don't need their permission to let go. You don't need validation to choose calm. You don't need reassurance to keep moving forward. You have a choice. From this moment forward, your responsibility is simple. Observe before reacting. Pause before responding. Decide before engaging. Every time. Not perfectly. Consistently. Consistency beats intensity. That's the key. There will be days you slip. You'll react. You'll care too much. You'll feel pulled. That doesn't erase progress. Detachment is not about never falling. It's about recovering quickly. Returning to center faster each time. Detached people don't punish themselves. They recalibrate. They ask one question. What's under my control right now? Then they act on that, and nothing else. That question will save you years of suffering. Life will test you after this audiobook ends. That's guaranteed. People will try to provoke old patterns. Situations will tempt emotional reactions. Outcomes will try to pull you back into anxiety. That is not failure. That is the exam. And the answer is always the same. Detach. Choose calm. Choose discipline. Choose yourself. Because the strongest people are not the loudest. They are not the most emotional. They are not the most reactive. They are the most controlled. And control is freedom. Say this to yourself clearly. I choose detachment. Say it again. I choose detachment. That choice, made daily, will change your life. Not dramatically, not overnight, but permanently. You are no longer here to be pulled by everything. You are here to move deliberately, detach, and walk forward in silence. You don't need permission. You never did.